With Starfleet busting out all over with new technological developments, and the Alpha and Beta quadrants in a constant state of near chaos, Starfleet Command began the daunting task of creating a Starship class whose mission profile wouldn't be limited to the specific, and one of those classes would be the Intrepid class. And with this new advanced science tactical hybrid, Starfleet's Corps of Engineers would go back to the drawing board to create one of the most elegant and functional bridge designs ever created by Starfleet up to that point. Hello and welcome to Trek Facts, a fun and fast informational web series on the fundamentals of Star Trek. In today's episode, we're taking a look at the main bridge of the Intrepid class of Starfleet starships, as seen in Star Trek Voyager, in an effort to better understand this class's place in Star Trek history. Though Starfleet Command had taken many casualties during the Battle of Wolf 359, one good thing did come from the Borg attack. And that was, of course, Starfleet pouring all of its vast resources into technological developments and research and new, better-equipped starship designs to travel hand-in-hand with these new technological developments. One of the most significant breakthroughs was that of bioneurosurgery. Designed to replace the aging isolinear circuitry, bioneurosurgery greatly increased computer response time by the utilization of bioneural gel packs. One of the test beds chosen for this new circuitry would be that of the Intrepid class. The class itself had already been slated to test the new warp drive system, which wouldn't damage subspace as previous Starship classes had. And so it seemed natural for Starfleet to choose this Starship class to test all the various new technological developments that Starfleet's Corps of Engineers had to offer. The Intrepid class main bridge, like with most Starfleet starship designs, was located on Deck 1, and was broken up into two key areas, the upper deck and the command area. Access to the bridge was achieved by one dedicated turbolift on the starboard side, though a second turbolift was available from a corridor outside the port side access doorway. Most starship designs of the time were either of the 1 or 3 seat variety for command officers, but the Intrepid class had instead a 2-seat combination, which would see the captain seated off-center with the first officer seated beside them. A command and control console was featured directly in between the two command officers, which was capable of controlling all the class's command functions should either officer require it. From here, the command officer could also make log entries or access the LCARS menu system for informational display. 2 other built-in bench seats were also included in this design, each on either side of the command chairs. Directly forward of the command chairs was the starship's Helm Console. This console was sunken into the deck to allow the captain and first officer an unobstructed view of the main viewing screen. Because this starship class was designed with extreme tactical maneuvers in mind, the Helm Console was much larger and more extensive than had been seen on most other classes. It also did not share the space with the Operations Console, which had been traditionally a Starfleet design staple for most of the 24th century. A chair on rails was provided for the officer assigned to the station for seating, and it could be easily rolled to any area of the console the helm officer needed to access. And directly in front of the console was the main viewing screen for this starship class, where communications, tactical displays, and other information could be called up onto the screen for easy viewing of all bridge-assigned officers. The upper level itself was broken up into 2 areas as well, with a step down into the forward section. On either side of the main viewing screen stood 2 alcoved consoles. The port side held the science station, while the starboard side held the engineering console. Rather than breaking up these consoles into various stations, which was the trend at the time, both stations were one large continuous console. A jutting-out touchscreen panel would serve as the main seating position for the crew member assigned to either console, and this panel faced the main viewing screen. On the upper level, traveling clockwise, stood the Security Tactical Station, Mission Operations 1, the Master Situation Monitor, Mission Operations 2, and finally, the Operations Console. The Tactical Station was the most advanced and intuitive of its time. From here, the Intrepid class's large array of weaponry could be easily controlled and deployed should a situation require it. Starship defensive systems, like the class's shielding, were also controlled from this station. This station also directly coordinated the security division on the Starship class itself. Should an emergency arise, where an intruder or intruders boarded the Starship, security forces could be easily routed to those intruders' location, while the officer manning this station could coordinate and monitor, as well as report, all internal tactical updates. The Mission Operations Stations 1 and 2 were in charge of all the various Starship mission-specific requirements this class might have. During away missions, for example, this station could monitor the away teams, collect and catalog all incoming data related to the mission, and file various reports to later be transmitted to Starfleet Command for analysis. Between the Mission Operations Station was the Master Situations Monitor, sometimes referred to and logged on as either the Master Situations Display or simply Engineering. This console had a large cross-section map of the Starship prominently displayed. This map could show any irregularities in all the ship's systems, as well as providing detailed information on any ship system that the officer assigned to this console required. The Ops or Operations Station would do just that, monitor and control all standard operations of the vessel of this class. This included internal systems control and sensor systems usage as a part of its purview. Communications on this class was primarily the tactical officer's responsibility. However, at times, operation could and would also control these systems. Mainly, however, this console would act as a sort of overview science station, as most scanner and sensor functions could be performed from this console. This station could also assume direct control over secondary systems, such as the transporter system and holographic systems. Also on this upper level, directly behind the command seating area, was a small standalone console that could be programmed to assume any function the captain required for various missions. Coloring on the Intrepid class bridge was much more industrialized than on most classes in the 24th century. Steels, grays, chromes, accented by blues and yellows, along with muted beiges, made this design really pop. It also added to the easy viewing on the eyes for the crew members assigned to the bridge. During Red Alert, the Starship bridge itself would lose its overhead bright lighting, opting for a dark look while the Red Alert panels were displayed. The Intrepid class was also capable of full atmospheric flight and maneuvers, and also as a result, this ship could land itself on a planetary body, moon, or other galactic surface. During landing maneuvers, the ship would be taken to what was known as Blue Alert. And again, the bridge itself would go dark, but this time accented only by Blue Alert panel indicators. Connected to either side of the bridge was the captain's ready room and the briefing room. The captain's ready room was a rather large space for the captain to relax in. It included a desk and workstation, a replicator, and a large curvy couch looking out onto space in the front of the ship. The briefing room, also referred to as the conference lounge, also had a view of space in front of the Starship, as well as a large table for the captain and senior officers to sit and discuss various mission and ship status updates. A view screen was mounted on the wall to display any information an officer might require. Also, unlike most Starship classes of the time, the Intrepid class's Deck 1 was much larger, with corridors and other rooms connected behind the bridge. These rooms included a small mess for bridge officers to take their breaks in, the bridge's head, an office, a lab, 2 escape pods for bridge officers to utilize should the crew be required to abandon ship, a second turbolift, and an airlock complex should any crew member be required to leave the Starship for external repair and maintenance. This airlock complex also included a small transporter system, again to be utilized during emergency situations. The Intrepid class itself would go on to perform admirably and way above anyone's expectations, especially when the USS Voyager would become stranded in the Delta Quadrant and survive to make it home after only 7 years of being there. And the Intrepid class bridge would be so popular that its design would be adapted and slightly modified for other classes such as Starfleet's newest pure science class, the Nova class. This bridge design was a true testament to Starfleet's progress in technological developments, as well as its ingenuity in Starship class design. The Intrepid class bridge certainly earned its place in Starfleet history.